Ever since LeBron James signed with the Philadelphia 76ers, fans have been asking one massive question. Would Bronny James pack his bags and follow? Now we finally have an answer. Bronny's camp just broke their silence, and the decision that came to light is not at all what people expected. Let's dive right in, starting with the moment that set this whole thing off. On Friday, ESPN's Shams Charania dropped the news everyone waited 3 weeks for. LeBron James was signing with the Philadelphia 76ers on a 2-year, $8 million contract with a player option. According to Clutch Sports Group and Clutch CEO Rich Paul, just like that, the Cavs, the Heat, and the Warriors were out of the running. Philly won. Within minutes, before the contract was even signed, one question eclipsed everything else. It wasn't about how LeBron fits next to Joel Embiid. It was about his son. Would Bronny James, the kid he shared an NBA floor with for 2 straight seasons, be walking into that Philadelphia locker room too? That's where Bronny breaks his silence. But it doesn't come directly from him. It comes through the one person who speaks for both James men during these high-stakes moments. Rich Paul just told Ramona Shelburne something that cut right through the noise. Rich Paul, representing both father and son, made it clear that they aren't a package deal. Bronny has zero plans to force a trade off the Lakers, and the front office has a real fondness for him. According to Ramona Shelburne, read that again, not a package deal. That's as blunt as it gets in today's league, landing like a hammer on months of nonstop rumors. Ever since LeBron stunned the basketball world by picking the Philadelphia 76ers, closing the book on his 8-year run with the Los Angeles Lakers, a massive wave of speculation exploded over whether Bronny would follow his dad to Philadelphia. Paul's response shut that down instantly. But an agent's statement and actual reality are 2 different things. Bronny hasn't stood at a podium to give a speech about his dad leaving. What he has done instead is let his team's actions do the talking, and those actions say he's staying put. Bronny has absolutely no intention of forcing a move to the Philadelphia 76ers to play with LeBron. That's the major headline. But the real story underneath is way more complicated and far more fascinating than a simple rejection. Take the Lakers' perspective here. They didn't just shrug when LeBron walked away. They made it incredibly clear they won't trade Bronny James. Meanwhile, the 76ers roster already has a loaded backcourt, leaving zero room or need to bring in another guard. In other words, even if Bronny wanted out, there is no easy path for either team. And then there is the money. The contract terms tell a story of their own. For now, Bronny remains on the Lakers roster, gearing up for his 3rd season of a 4-year deal signed back in 2024. He isn't some rental, looking for a quick exit. This is a young prospect under contract with a franchise that invested heavily in him recently. Here's a crucial detail that gets buried under the massive LeBron headlines. The Lakers aren't just putting up with Bronny. Out of pure loyalty, they actually picked up his option for the upcoming season, with the expectation that he will battle for real rotation minutes during the preseason. That's a basketball decision, plain and simple, not a charity case. So when you weigh Rich Paul's blunt statement against the Lakers actually committing guaranteed money to keep him around, you realize why nobody close to this is expecting Bronny to pack up. If the front office is genuinely optimistic about his development, they have absolutely zero reason to deal him. But does that mean a potential trade is dead in the water forever? Not quite. Insiders covering this massive free agency move have been careful to leave the door slightly ajar. Right now, there's no plan for Bronny to head east, but that could easily change as training camp gets closer. Even the live trackers from Bleacher Report and Yahoo Sports kept circling back to the exact same sentiment. This is a highly fluid situation, and things in this league move fast. You have to remember what they built here. Back in 2024, when the Lakers selected Bronny with the 55th draft pick, the James family made history as the first father-son duo to share an NBA floor. That isn't a footnote you just delete over a sudden free agency move. That is historic ground they shared on the bench and in the locker room for 2 whole seasons, which is exactly why almost everyone assumed the final answer would be yes. When LeBron James eventually picked his next destination, the consensus was that Bronny would follow. But with LeBron choosing the 76ers, that is no longer the plan. It's now highly unlikely we see them on the court together next season. So the silence breaks. And what comes out isn't the reunion story fans wanted. It's closer to a fork in the road, and Bronny, through his camp, has already started walking down it. That cold decision, delivered flatly through his own agent, is just the first layer of what is actually happening. The second LeBron's signing became official, Philadelphia didn't just land a future Hall of Famer. They got a reunion packed with baggage nobody had fully prepared for. That's because sitting in that Sixers locker room already is Jaylen Brown, acquired in a trade earlier this summer. And Brown has history with the James family that has absolutely nothing to do with LeBron. It is all about Bronny. Rewind to the summer of 2024. Bronny was drafted and immediately struggled out there in Summer League. He faced the exact kind of brutal growing pains any 19-year-old goes through during their first taste of professional basketball. Brown was sitting courtside at a game with WNBA players Angel Reese and Kiss Rigondrazic when a camera caught him leaning in to share his raw opinion. I don't think Bronny is a pro, is what Brown appears to say. It was not a throwaway line either. I don't think Bronny is a pro, Brown muttered during that 2024 Summer League game. I hope so, Brown continued after Kiss Rigondrazic said he will be on the G League team back then. At the time, it was just a viral clip and nothing more. Brown tried to backtrack almost immediately, posting on social media that having your own son beside you in the league shows ultimate greatness and longevity, and that he was genuinely looking forward to watching Bronny grow. But the damage, at least in LeBron's memory, lingered way longer than that quick apology did. Fast forward to this past February, LeBron was asked directly about his relationship with Brown, who was still playing for Boston at the time, and he didn't dodge the question. Our relationship has been pretty respectful, James said. Besides that stuff he said about Bronny at Summer League, but other than that, we've been all right. I think he went on social media and said something about it, so it is all good. That was LeBron months before any of this Philadelphia drama started. Still keeping that receipt tucked in his back pocket, diplomatic on the surface, but clearly not forgetting. So when news broke that LeBron was signing with the very team that now employs Jaylen Brown, that clip didn't stay buried for long. Within hours, it was circulating everywhere again, captioned with some variation of the same joke that the two are teammates now, whether they like it or not. The resurfaced video shows Brown delivering a blunt assessment of Bronny James and his pro potential. Back then, it drew limited attention, but today it lands totally differently. And yet, here is the twist nobody quite expected. Brown himself was one of the very first people to publicly welcome LeBron to the squad. Despite speculation that Jaylen Brown and James might have beef over those Bronny comments, Brown was the first to post after the announcement, sharing a simple throw the ball up message, with Tyrese Maxey following shortly after with a video of himself screaming in celebration at the gym. That is reaction number 1 and 2. Brown burying the hatchet publicly, and Maxey, who had reportedly led the recruiting pitch on LeBron for weeks, losing his mind in a gym somewhere the second it became official. Then there is VJ Edgecombe, the young Sixers guard who grew up idolizing LeBron from an ocean away. Edgecombe did not take long to react to the news, sharing a picture on his Instagram stories. Think of himself recreating LeBron's viral swimming pool meme, captioned, smiling through it all, "Can't believe this is my life." That is reaction number 3. A kid who watched LeBron on television more than any other player growing up in the Bahamas suddenly getting to call him a teammate. It did not stop with the Sixers roster either. Around the league, players who have nothing to do with Philadelphia weighed in within minutes. Saquon Barkley, star running back for the Eagles, welcomed James to the city and joked about getting a round of golf in, while Caitlin Clark reacted live during a press conference upon learning the massive news. And then there is a name that circles right back to Bronny's future. Michael Thompson, the Lakers legend and radio voice, who was asked point blank how long it would take before Bronny eventually followed his father east. Michael Thompson made that case on ESPN LA's Sedano and Cap when asked how long it would take before Bronny joined his father in Philadelphia. Thompson did not just brush the question off, he treated it as a matter of when, not if, framing Bronny's path in LA as a proving ground before an eventual reunion becomes possible again down the line. So you have got Brown publicly celebrating a player whose son he once dismissed on camera. You have got Maxey and Edgecombe reacting like kids on Christmas morning. You have got elite athletes outside the sport entirely weighing in, and running underneath every single bit of that noise is the quieter, more. That leaves one massive question about Bronny. Does he walk into that locker room sitting near the guy who claimed he was not a pro to build something there, or does he stay 3,000 miles away and build it somewhere else? Entirely. Right now, every sign points to a different path. But that history with Brown means if Bronny ever ends up in that Philadelphia locker room, it is not a clean slate. He is walking right into the one relationship with serious unfinished business hanging over it. To understand why Bronny's camp gave that response, you have to look back at his own words. Because this is not the first time the young guard has faced brutal questions about riding his father's massive coattails. Just think back to the day the Lakers officially introduced him to the press. He was 19 years old, standing right next to rookie wing Dalton Knecht, answering tough questions about what it means to be LeBron James' son in an NBA locker room. Bronny was totally honest about something that shocked many people. He admitted that playing with his dad was never the main goal. He was trying to build his own name, stating he just wanted to show up, do his work, and get better every single day, never really planning on playing with his dad. Sure, that opportunity was there to take, but it was never his main focus. That is not the response of a kid chasing a media reunion. That is a young athlete fighting to establish his own identity. Even as everyone around him kept trying to view his career through his dad's shadow, he stayed completely realistic about the immense pressure. Having that name definitely amplifies the weight. Bronny James admitted he already saw the online hate, with people claiming he does not deserve an NBA roster spot, but he has dealt with this his entire life. It is nothing new to him. The noise is definitely louder now, but he knows he can survive it and push forward. That statement does a lot of heavy lifting because it explains his entire approach to everything that has happened since. Bronny knew the second his name was called that every single mistake would be put under a massive microscope. And that is exactly what happened during his first 2 seasons in Los Angeles. His rookie year was rough to watch, especially if you expected instant highlights. He appeared in 27 games for the Lakers, getting very limited run at just 6.7 minutes per game, shooting a cold 31.3% from the field, averaging 2.3 points. Over 2 seasons, those shooting splits stayed rough. In 556 total minutes, he averaged 2.7 points, 1.1 assists, and 0.6 boards. Not great. His career PER of 8.4 ranked 464th among 485 players with 500 minutes. But those box score numbers only tell half the story. There is a completely different side of this playing out in the G League, and that version actually pushes back on Brown's harsh critique. Bronny averaged 2.9 points on 38.6% from 3 last season, proving too good for that league by averaging 15.6 points, 3.1 boards, and 3.6 assists over 14 games with just 3 losses. Those are not the stats of a guy who cannot play at this level. That is a player dominating the minor league while figuring out how to handle elite NBA speed and physical size. Even his head coach saw him this way, not as a polished star, but as a long-term development project built with careful intention. He is a development player, and that is how we view Bronny. He will definitely spend time with the main roster, but he will also get reps in the G League. Reich noted that as they build out their new developmental program, the young guard is a massive piece. The main message to him right now is focusing entirely on defensive ball pressure. That is a coach preaching patience, not chasing media hype or a lottery pick narrative. He is a defensive stopper being developed slowly, far away from all the outside noise. By the time his second season wrapped up, that quiet patience began paying off in some subtle ways. 21-year-old carved out a consistent rotation spot, averaging 16.9 minutes per game, while appearing in 8 postseason games for the Lakers. That is real high-stakes playoff experience alongside his father in meaningful games, which brings us to those legendary alley-oops. While his raw stats remain modest, those historic moments, the father and son shared on the court became some of the most viral images of LeBron's final run in LA. That historic milestone can never be erased. They are officially the first father-son duo in league history to share an NBA court together. Watching them connect on those lobs was incredible, and LeBron was highly vocal about how motivating it was to share a roster with his son. So when Bronny's camp insists there is no plan for a reunion in Philadelphia, that is not just talk. It comes from a young guard who insisted from day one that playing together ride shotgun with his dad. The goal was to build his own path on his own timeline, even if that timeline runs through a rough rookie year, a dominant G League stretch, and a developmental plan built around getting defensive stops before highlight reels even matter. If Bronny isn't following his dad to Philly, what exactly is he staying in Los Angeles for? Turns out quite a lot, and none of it will be easy. Just look at the roster he's walking back into. This isn't the thin, transitioning Lakers squad he was drafted into 2 years ago. The Lakers currently boast deep guard depth featuring Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Quentin Grimes, and Colin Sexton, Jaden Hardy, Mattis the Fulgo, and rookie Cameron Carr. All of them can run either guard spot. That's not a rotation that just hands out minutes. That's a group Bronny must fight through night after night with his father no longer around to draw defensive focus or set the tone in that locker room. And that fierce competition is the whole point. Team insiders say this crowded guard rotation will make it incredibly tough for the younger James to earn consistent minutes or prove he belongs on the floor. There's no soft landing here. If Bronny wants real floor time next season, he has to take it from guys who are, on paper, much further along than he is today. But the front office has already shown where it stands financially, and cash talks louder than any. Quote, the Lakers coaching staff loves Bronny and the one. Front office recently guaranteed his contract for the upcoming season, the third year of his 4-year deal, after being drafted late in 2024 with a team option for the 2027-28 season. Guaranteeing real money shows a different level of commitment than just keeping him around to be nice. That's a front office paying him regardless of the decision his father makes. There is also a scenario where LeBron leaving is actually a win for Bronny, not a loss. Multiple team insiders have floated that exact idea. While keeping Bronny in Los Angeles makes sense, don't rule out the father-son duo joining forces in Philadelphia. But because of past beef between Jaylen Brown and the James family, there could be a major roadblock. Basically, even the beat writers see the Brown drama as a real practical hurdle, not just an internet meme. Then there's the argument made repeatedly by those who have watched Bronny closely since draft night that the massive shadow of his father was the true issue, not his actual game. This is a massive opportunity for Bronny to prove to his doubters he belongs in the league, strictly on his own merits. As long as LeBron shared the same building, every good play got labeled as nepotism, while every mistake was magnified into a referendum on his entire career. Take his father out of the picture, and the critics have nowhere left to hide. Even outlets covering the Philadelphia side admit the practical math doesn't support a move anyway. The 76ers roster features a loaded backcourt, leaving almost no room or immediate need to add another guard. So it's not just that Bronny doesn't want to force a trade, it's that there's simply no logical spot for him in Philadelphia. Even if he begged for it, add in the complex cap mechanics of the LeBron contract, and Philly is tied even tighter than fans think, since he's signing a 2-year contract that offers zero cap relief. Philadelphia must either waive one of their non-guaranteed players or execute a trade to free up cash, since they are $572,000 over the first apron. Adding another contract, even a small one, on top of that tight squeeze is incredibly complicated. This is a salary cap math problem, not a basketball decision. So layer all of those pieces together. The crowded LA backcourt he has to fight, the guaranteed money the Lakers just committed to him, the Jaylen Brown history in Philadelphia, and the brutal cap space situation on the Sixers side. Suddenly, staying in Los Angeles doesn't look like a backup plan. It looks like the only route that gives Bronny a real runway to prove his worth without the name of his dad overshadowing everything. But that doesn't make it the easy path. He won't have LeBron drawing double teams. No LeBron to take the tougher defensive assignment. No LeBron in that locker room after a brutal shooting night. What he has is exactly what he said he wanted 3 summers ago, a chance to make a name for himself. So where does that leave things? Bronny stays with the Lakers. LeBron heads to Philadelphia to chase one last ring alongside Embiid, Maxey, and Jaylen Brown. And for the first time since their historic run together, they are no longer teammates. That reality, it stings. Even those closest admit it. For the first time in Bronny's career, LeBron won't be standing beside him. Now he gets to show if Mitchell Thompson is right about what happens outside that shadow. It's the first test of whether everything he built was actually his, separate from his dad's gravity. A reunion could still happen, but for now, nobody is shutting that door completely, not even reporters close to the story. Right now, there is no request for Bronny to join his dad per Ramona Shelburne, but that could change as the season draws closer. Rosters shift, contracts expire, and LeBron's Philly deal only runs 2 years. If a run fails, everything could look completely different by the time that option year rolls around. But right now, this summer, the answer coming from Bronny's camp is about as clear as it gets in a league that lives on ambiguity. He isn't forcing a trade, and he isn't chasing his dad across the country. He's staying in a crowded Lakers backcourt, fighting for rotation minutes against a roster that won't hand him a single thing, where coaches are willing to bet real money on him. Meanwhile, over in Philadelphia, Jaylen Brown is going to spend a full season playing alongside the father of the player he once dismissed on camera, while that same player builds his case 3,000 miles away on his own terms, just like he wanted when he was 19 years old, walking into his first NBA press conference. That's the reality unfolding right now. Not a package deal, not a reunion. 2 James men on opposite coasts, both trying to win. One is chasing a 5th ring in his legendary career, while the other fights minute by minute, possession by possession, to prove that the name on his jersey means something more than who his father is. Whether that changes next summer or the year after is a question nobody in Los Angeles or Philadelphia is ready to answer yet. For now, the silence has broken, and the answer wasn't what anyone expected regarding Bronny James and his future status for next season. Reports from Larry Brown Sports ask if Bronny will follow LeBron to the Philadelphia 76ers. According to Yahoo Sports, LeBron's move forced agent Rich Paul to put those Bronny rumors to bed. The Sixers sense and Lakers Nation are both asking what this move actually means. Why? Should the 76ers happily trade for Bronny? Yahoo Sports is already questioning what is next for him after LeBron's decision to head to Philadelphia. CBS Sports reported on Bronny's decision regarding a trade request after his dad signed. The Spun confirms that Bronny has 0 plans to follow LeBron to the 76ers now. Boliv US and Hoopship detailed LeBron's choice, with live updates showing him landing with the 76ers, according to the latest Yahoo Sports and Hoopship rumors. Fans are reacting all over the internet, while Sports Illustrated highlights how LeBron's new teammates are reacting in the Philadelphia Inquirer. Meanwhile, LeBron's relationship with Jaylen Brown is questioned after old comments resurfaced on Heavy. Yahoo Sports also detailed those old remarks popping back up after the signing, with HITC covering Jaylen Brown's original diss toward Bronny. Even Saquon Barkley and other Philadelphia athletes are sharing their top reactions on ESPN. Yahoo Sports notes that Jaylen Brown's old comments about Bronny are about to make things incredibly awkward. Yardbarker points out his new teammate once talked trash. Bro Bible reports that LeBron still hasn't forgotten that criticism of his son. CBS Sports says Jaylen Brown had to address those old Summer League comments. While Rich, Paul told Silver Screen and Roll they were never a package deal. Will Bronny join LeBron in Philly? The Lakers made their stance clear to Yahoo Sports on any potential trade. He's making his own decision on his Lakers' future. Bronny says he can handle the massive pressure of playing in Los Angeles. NBC News reports that Bronny James says he can handle the heat.